we just had some important news coming on your screens just a while ago. Donald Trump and the Kim Jong-un summit in Vietnam in Hanoi has been cut short. The status as well of the joint statement at this point of time seems to be unknown. And look at the way the Asian markets have actually cracked, especially the Japanese index, which as we speak is near the day's low, 0.9% down. Of course, we have as well, the market has shut, but yeah, quite a sharp slide witnessed in just in the last couple of minutes of its trade. The Hang Seng too has declined near the day's low. The Shanghai index as well is down by about 0.7%. So let's talk about this with Richard Harris of Port Shelter Investment Management. Richard, appreciate you giving us your time on ET Now. You know, this was a meeting where I think a lot of people were watching out for more clarification when it came to the previous meeting. I mean, yes, we did speak about denuclearization, but there was no mention of the verifiability, the timelines, the meaning of denuclearization, and I think that's why all eyes were on this meeting. Now that it looks like the schedule has gone a bit haywire, and we still don't know why. How would you read into this new development? Do you think that we should be a little more cautious that perhaps talks may not have gone as positively as one would have hoped?
Well, it certainly sounds like, you know, the whole issue of Trump talk with Kim seemed to be come out of the blue and is really, I think, a means of Trump trying to give himself a win on something that seemed to be a win before. Now, it does look as if maybe the North Koreans have dug their heels in. And possibly Trump isn't very happy about that. But quite frankly, they should have known all of this beforehand, before President Kim had his extended marathon by train through China and President Trump flew in. You know, this should have been done by the people who come before them. So it's not usual that there's a meeting like this and it doesn't go in the right direction because of this normal front running. So it does seem rather strange that we may see a bit of a cut-off here, but of course it's too early for the markets to really take a serious view.
Well, you know, we wavered actually from Trump tweeting last night that he had a good discussion at the dinner with, Kim Jong-un. And this morning, of course, suddenly the program going all haywire. Do you think the market would be disappointed? I mean, yes, like you said, till now it's a little premature to be reacting. But if in case we don't have any concrete statement coming out from either parties, do you think we are going to be even more disappointed?
I think if there are contrary statements, I think the market will be disappointed. But quite frankly, I think what the market's looking at as well is the fact that, you know, we're still pretty uncertain about the trade talks between the U.S. and China. But I think more importantly, we've had a number of pronouncements and announcements out of the States, you know, saying, is the Fed becoming more dovish? And if they're becoming more dovish, why are they doing that? We've seen corporate earnings. They're not quite as good as people would have hoped. We've seen housing starts come off, not quite as good as hoped. So I think basically we've got to bear in mind the fact that we've had 9 weeks of pretty well solid upward moves in the States, and that's been supporting the rest of the world's equities. And probably now's the time for a bit of bad news to come in and for investors to pay attention to it.
Oh yeah, that it has. I mean, what a massive recovery witnessed in the year 2019 by all the Asian indices, more specifically China's index. And of course, now we do have the latest developments coming in between US and China. Richard, what would you make of, what would you be watching out for? I mean, we still don't know about any update, whether or not there's going to be a joint statement or whether or not there would be any signing ceremony of sorts. But in case if Donald Trump does issue a press release, or he does hold his press conference in a couple of minutes from now, what statements do you think would you be watching out for that would please the market? Would it be a continuation from the June meeting? What exactly would you be watching out for?
Well, I think people are pretty well once bitten, twice shy on Trump's statements. If you remember, we all dived into the markets when he said some sort of trade deal had been done when Trump met President Xi on China. So I think we have to be quite careful about what comes out, because it's quite possible for the same thing to happen again, which is both sides to declare victory but still be a very long way apart. Some of the stories coming in seem to be a little bit more positive. BBC is saying Kim and Trump see Hanoi breakthrough. So maybe there is something positive. But I think the bottom line at the end of the day is that it's unlikely for Trump to be able to break North Korea away from China. The best we're likely to see is a softening of relations between the two, because President Kim, I think, would dearly love to see the kind of Shenzhen effect in North Korea as China had. Which is not change the regime, but to change the economy. And I think Trump can help him with that.
Okay. All right, Richard, great having you with us. Thanks so much for throwing in some light on the recent developments. Not exactly great news, especially given the fact that we were watching out for something more concrete and, more importantly, a continuation from the agreement that the two leaders had come to last June in Singapore.